It is 5:30 today. I will call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Texas Alamos College District. Trustees President are Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, Dr. Tony Zabaleta, Mr. J.J. De Leon, Ms. Adela Garza, President Jesus Roberto Rodriguez, and myself. First, item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Zabaleta.
Yes, please.
Lead us in prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much. Item number 3, public comments. Anyone sign up for public comments? No. Item number 4, President's report. I'll call on Dr. Rodriguez to give his report.
Thank you, Chair Herrera, trustees. I'll begin my report tonight with an update on summer enrollments. Classes for the first summer session began on June 7th. We enrolled 1,025 students, on-campus students, and 1,105 dual enrollment for a total enrollment of 2,130 students. We're currently enrolling students for the second summer session. Our current count stands a little bit over 747 students that are enrolled as of June the 23rd. There's still time for students to enroll for summer courses. The first day of classes for summer 2 is on July 13th, so we still have a couple of weeks that we're going to be pushing for enrollments. Again, looking ahead for the fall, we have enrolled 1,700 students to date, and our marketing and recruitment efforts are in full swing for the fall semester. Staff from our departments, such as Student Life, are joining in the fall push, assisting student services and recruitment. This has allowed us to engage in more one-on-one outreach. Some of the enrollment initiatives underway include a series of 2 postcards reaching over 5,000 high school students over the past 2 months have been mailed directly to high school seniors, as well as 778 potential students who have not yet completed their application, and an additional 750 students with incomplete applications. 4 in-person registration rallies have been planned for June through August. The first rally was held yesterday, and we had a really nice, good turnout. On the 23rd, yesterday, at the Olivetti Student Service Center, and 2 are scheduled in July, which is the 14th and the 17th, and we have 1 in August, the 12th. I think these are great live registration rally that gets out to the community and gets the word out.
Before you continue, may I ask a couple of
Yes.
questions? Yes. Do we enroll dual enrollment students during the summer?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
For example, first summer session, we enrolled 1,105 dual credit students. So
Wow.
we're doing a lot of outreach to the ISDs for them to continue
That's
to
fantastic.
move forward.
And my second question is, are the summer classes face-to-face? Do the students actually come to class?
No, sir, the entire summer, it will continue online courses.
Thank you.
In addition, almost 5,000 emails and 5,000 phone calls have been made to assist students in the enrollment process. The Recruitment and Admissions Office are reaching out to 3,000 students who have incomplete applications to help them complete the process and registration. The Advising and the Testing Office is reaching out to 1,100 students who were in the spring but have not yet enrolled for the fall. So we're looking for continuation and retention from one semester to the next. These students are being encouraged to meet with an advisor. Financial aid has sent more than 2,700 emails to students pending the FAFSA documents and has sent out approximately 2,500 award letters. Our external marketing efforts, we are targeting advertising to several population segments in our service area using a wide variety of channels, including the social media, such as Facebook, digital advertising, traditional radio in English and in Spanish, digital radio, the traditional radio, the television in English and Spanish, billboards, including 7 digital billboards, the Sunrise Mall, display monitors located at restaurants and venues such as Taco Palenque. We have been making many new connections in the community, which is positioning us well for a strong fall semester. As our county's vaccination rates increase, our community's in-person meetings are becoming more common. This month, I was the keynote speaker at 2 events. The first event was Breakfast with the CEO, which was hosted by the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation, GBIC. This was held on June 4th at the TSC iTech Center Art Gallery. It was a wonderful opportunity for our powerhouse workforce team to connect with the industry partners. Dr. Joanna Kyle, Dr. Joe Fleischman, and I updated the attendees on the many ways TSC can help them expand and enhance their businesses. Following the meeting, the participants were eager to tour the iTech workforce training labs. They were extremely impressed with the multi-million-dollar build-out of our state-of-the-art training labs we completed last fall, thanks to the investment of our very own Texas Southmost College Board of Trustees. So thank you for that. I cannot overemphasize how important these community events are in making connections. Later on tonight's agenda, we will ask the board to consider an MOU with one of the event's attendees, Steel Coast. During the event, the company learned about TSC's capacity for high-quality, high-tech training. They immediately recognized how they would benefit from partnering with us. Steel Coast has a great need to upskill existing employees and train new employees. So we are developing 2 customized training programs in industrial cutting and rigging. In addition to the technical skills training, we will provide leadership training, which they requested, so they can grow their business in response to their market demands. As we continue to network with local industry partners, we can see in real time the positive impact that TSC is making on the Lower Rio Grande valleys, not only on the workforce development, as well as in the economic development of the house. Our immediate response to industry workforce training needs, which creates more access to high-paying jobs in a region, is one of the great advantages of having a comprehensive community college located in our communities. I also serve as the keynote speaker for the Arroyo District Friends of Scouting Annual Banquet. The event was hosted by the Rio Grande Council Boy Scouts of America on June 17th at Camp Perry in Rio Hondo. I was very honored to accept the recognition they bestowed on Texas Southmost College on behalf of the entire Scorpion family. Our trustees, administration, faculty, staff, and students should feel very proud that the community recognizes the contributions Texas Southmost College is making not only to our community, but to the education of our state. At the event, I had the opportunity to update the Scouts and their supporters about the good work taking place at TSC. They were very impressed by the range of opportunities we provide in dual credit, academic transfer courses, and workforce training. I know they will help us spread the good news about Texas Southmost College. Thank you to our trustees, Ms. Adela Garza and Ms. Delia Saenz, and the administration who participated in this special event. So thank you.
I also want to say that you represent as well. I was very proud. It was, you did such a good job, and everybody listened, and it's really amazing what's going on and how you didn't say this, he was honored by the Boy Scouts. I'm very proud.
Thank you. Well, it's easy to do when we have great support from the administration, but more importantly, by our trustees.
Yeah.
Next, I'm happy to report that we continue to graduate students from our Workforce Training and Continuing Education Division at a steady pace. On June 10th, we celebrated the graduation of 11 Los Fresnos School District students from our Certified Nurse Assistant program. And tonight, another cohort from Brownsville School District will graduate from the program. Also, earlier this month, on June 12th, we celebrated the graduation of 28 Police Academy cadets. This was one of the first in-person events we have hosted this year. All social distancing and safety guidelines were implemented so that the families could be present at their cadets walk the stage at the TSC Performing Arts Center. We are very proud of our graduates from the Workforce Training and Continuing Education Division, and we appreciate the role these new alumni will play in keeping our community safe and healthy.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
I ask that you keep us informed about when the cadets take the TCLOS state certification test for law enforcement, you let us know the percentage of the pass rate.
Definitely. We'll keep the board up to date with those
Thank you.
percentages.
Dr. Zavaleta.
Yes, ma'am.
My daughter's a commissioner in TCOLE, and we are one of the best.
Who told you that?
My daughter is a commissioner
Yes.
at TCOLE, Patricia.
oh, wow,
and we are one of the best.
In terms of graduation rate? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great news.
It's a wonderful program we have. Also, as part of our continued efforts to keep our campus community safe, TSC held 2 in-person emergency response training last week. The first was a hands-on only CPR, Stop the Bleeding training, which was hosted by Valley Regional Medical Center staff. We also held a civilians response to active shooter attacks training, which was presented by the Brownsville Police Department. We are very appreciative of our community partners and to TSC's Office of Environmental Health, Safety, and Risk Management, which organized the events. As you will remember, last fall, TSC earned full reaffirmation of accreditation from our accrediting agency, SAC-COC. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So while our comprehensive accreditation reviews take place every 10 years, there are other routine submissions to SAC-COC that govern our daily work. This month, for example, we submitted a series of substantive changes to SACs for review. A substantive change is a significant modification or expansion of the nature and scope of accredited institutions. SACs review substantive change proposals to ensure the changes will not hinder our ability to continue meeting SAC-COC principles of accreditation. We submitted 2 types of substantive change proposals this month. First, we proposed 2 new programs, an Associates of Science in Engineering and an Associates of Arts in Psychology. These programs were already approved by this board and the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Approval from SAC-COC is the final step in the program development process. Second, we propose to offer 6 existing programs through online delivery: Associates of Arts degrees in Business, Social Work, Criminal Justice, and our 3 Associate of Arts in Teaching degrees. Substantive change proposals take an enormous amount of time to prepare. Each new program proposal, for example, consists of 32 sections that must be researched, drafted, and reviewed. I want to take this moment to thank our powerhouse team who devoted the past month to this project: Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Dr. Byron McCormick, Dr. Murad Abu Salim, and Ms. Crystal Estrada for their extraordinary dedication to this work. So thank you.
Give your hand.
Now, these types of behind-the-scene efforts at TSC that truly expand the opportunities to higher education in the Lower Rio Grande Valley and provides those pathways to an even brighter future to our communities. Next, I would like to share with you this month's video highlighting the activities that have occurred since we last met. Can you please start the video, sir?
The biggest challenge was the fact that over the years that the community college had just been absorbed by the University of Texas Brownsville, and it had lost its identity. I think the board was very good at staying the course. They knew what they wanted to do. I will say Adela Garza has been just an absolute Rock of Gibraltar in that regard. I mean, she had the vision as well as the integrity and stamina to develop it the way that it has developed. So nothing sells better than results. And all you have to do is walk around this campus a little bit and you see results everywhere. Of course, the president and the board, they've hired good people who are dedicated to their jobs. They're energetic and enthusiastic about their jobs. That permeates the whole operation in here. It's created a very student-oriented type of environment.
One of the main purposes of this meeting is to highlight our wonderful community college here at TSC, which I think is the best in the state, and it's a huge resource to us.
There's only 9% that grew within 2020, not in the state, in the nation. And this is one of the community colleges that grew, a part of that very small 9%.
It starts really with the leadership, and the leadership starts with the Board of Trustees. And we're here because we need to strengthen our relationships. We need you to be successful. If you're successful, our community is successful. What we're doing here is building your workforce. I want to start first thanking our students. We recognize you, and we truly thank you for choosing this wonderful profession.
You are worth every single penny that the college has invested.
For those parents and family that doesn't know, this group was resilient, but the one word that always stuck with them was tenacious. The tenacious 10.
So my immediate plans after graduating from the police academy here at Texas Southmost College is to enter the field training program with Brownsville PD. I plan to apply the knowledge that I've learned here and all the skills and use them to the best of my ability out in the field.
I would like to thank all the cadets that were there for me. I see us as family now, and I want to let you know that I always have your back.
I wish everyone the best of luck. It's been an honor learning with you guys. Hopefully, I get to work with you guys in the future and see great things from each and every one of you.
And finally, I hope you will all join us for the Scorpion Classic, the TSC Foundation inaugural golf tournament. We'll be at Rancho Viejo bright and early on Saturday morning to cheer on the 38 teams who registered. In addition to the team spots quickly selling out, our sponsorship opportunities sold out just as fast. It is a true testament to the community support for the work we are doing at Texas Southmost College. All funds raised will go to scholarships to help deserving students achieve their dreams. I want to thank Mr. David Tomlinson, our Director of Foundation and Community Outreach, for leading these efforts. Thank you, Mr. Tomlinson.
He is relentless. You can't say enough.
Yes, he is. In closing, I want to thank the members of the Scorpion family who are hard at work helping students knock out a few classes this summer. We know it's a great way to keep students on track for graduation. At the same time, we are solidly focused on registering students and preparing for a wonderful and great fall semester. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Impressive. Next item is item number 5, presentation of scholarship donation. I will call on Mr. Ponce to present the item.
Good evening, Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez. I want to thank you for allowing us this evening to introduce some very special guests that we have with us tonight. We have the pleasure of welcoming the Brownsville Night Lions, who are here to make a special presentation to Texas Southmost College. So at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Joe Ponce, who is the first Vice District Governor for the Brownsville Night Lions. Mr. Ponce.
Thank you. First of all, let me start by saying thank you to the Board of Directors for allowing us to make this presentation, and also to the guest. We figured in the Brownsville Night Lions that this situation with the partnership that we have with TSC is a win-win situation. Brownsville Night Lions gets to meet at the TSC Youth Building to plan our projects. Our fundraisers. In turn, we give back to the Texas Southmost College in fund of scholarships. In turn, TSC gives back to the community one of its own members in the vocational department that can be a productive member in our community. So once again, thank you to TSC for allowing us to be there. At this time, I would like to call my president, Juan Ochoa, to make the presentation, and my members as well.
Good afternoon, Board Trustees, President Robert Rodriguez. We're glad to be here this evening. The Lions, my name is Juan Ochoa. I am president of the Brownsville Night Lions, and some other members will introduce themselves in a minute. The Lions clubs here in Brownsville, the main function is to serve the community. Our motto is "We serve." Throughout the year, we have fundraisers, and in turn, we donate the funds to the community. However, the pandemic has caused a little situation here, and we haven't been able to really get off the road. We are fortunate that it's starting to improve, and we have actually made a couple of fundraisers, and we have some donations coming in as well. So we have to make a presentation this evening for scholarship for students. The scholarship is for $2,000, and hopefully the economy improves and we could do better.
We have to take the photo off.
This is our big check. If the bank will accept it. It's for $2,000, actually for 2 scholarships, $1,000 each for a student, attend Texas Southmost College. And we're very fortunate we've been able to raise this fund for the college as well.
Thank you.
Now the real check.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a picture with everything.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody's looking great. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Give me just a moment. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Can you check those? Looks great. Thank you.
You're good. Thank you so much, gentlemen of the Brownsville Night Lions Club. This item is item number 6, consideration and possible action on the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 20th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor.
I second that.
There's a motion on the second. Is there any discussion on this? No discussion. I'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is student services. And
That's me.
that is you, Doctor.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, board members. On June 14th, the Student Services Subcommittee met to address a single item. Present were Ms. Aldrete and myself, President Rodriguez, of course. Item 7A, presentation update on the rollout of the Cisco Contact Center for Student Services. And Mr. Villarreal is here to explain what this is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Subcommittee Chairman, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez for allowing me to give you an information-only update on the rollout of our Cisco Unified Contact Center Express. Rolls it right off the tongue, right? Just as a reminder, Texas South most currently contracts with Telespace as our third-party provider for our telephone systems. It's called the Cisco Unified Call Management System. This provides all the normal functionality that you would get with a telephony system. And telephony is a fancy way of saying the modern PBX systems, right, we used to have back in the day, right? So inbound and outbound calling, call forwarding, voicemail, et cetera, right? Back in August of last year, the board was kind enough to approve us to purchase additional licensing for that system that would allow us to roll out something called the Cisco Unified Contact Center Express, or UCCX. This solution will allow us to create true call center functionality and computer telephony integration that will improve our customer service, we hope, by allowing our staff to log into a system and then manage the customer service experience for the students and parents that call TSC. This is just an attempt to update you on where we are with that rollout, right? So the way this is going to work is our staff will be logging into the system as agents, and that agent call traffic can be monitored, supervised, reported on. We can record calls, and so on and so forth. We will then, because we're going to know all the traffic coming into the call center, be able to provide reports on what's actually happening in terms of the customer experience, right? So if a customer abandons a call and, for example, reports to the board they couldn't get through, well, if we know the phone number for that customer or what they used, we'll be able to track that and see, yes, they did call us and weren't able to get through. Or maybe they never called us or they called us from another number. But at last we will have data to, as I've been saying, sort of prove that a ghost doesn't exist or not, right? So we've been having ongoing weekly meetings pretty much since October of 2020. These meetings involve the vendor, Telespace, our student services department, information technology, of course, and a few other parties that were possibly going to participate in the rollout. And we met to determine system capability, the system configuration. We had to determine hardware requirements, and by that I mean the telephones themselves, department staffing, workflow, et cetera. The impacted areas include admissions, dual enrollment, financial aid. I won't go through all of those, but pretty much all of our student services areas, correct? And just wanted to give you an idea of the work that's been going on. I know this is hard to read and it's a little complicated, but this is a workflow that is actually determining how that call is going to be routed to the various departments, right? So they would call in through the main number. We had to determine things like, are we going to be answering in Spanish and in English, for example, giving them a language choice, determining whether or not it was a holiday. If it's a holiday, they get routed to a voicemail. If not, it enters into a queue. The customer caller will then select from options. Those options will determine which department they are trying to reach. If they plug in the wrong number, just like other call systems that you've dealt with at banks and hospitals and so on, it will error out and it'll route them back to the beginning and so on and so forth.
Will it have an option to get a live person as opposed to many, many numbers that we call and we can never get a live person, so.
Yeah,
will we have-
yes, sir. The intent is for them to get an agent, an actual person, right? So what'll happen, this is an example of a department call flow. I went a little too far there. Why is it not going? Yeah, I just need to go back to the call flow. There, one more. All right, so for financial aid, for example, once they've chosen an option to go to financial aid, the whole point of this is to get them into an agent, to an actual staff member. We had to design a call flow circuit so that if they're on hold, they'll be told where they are in the queue. If they're the third caller in line, they'll be told that. They will have the option, as Ms. Aldrete asked me during subcommittee, to leave a voicemail and get a call back, or they can remain on hold and they'll hear a series of marketing messages, either in English or Spanish, depending on the language that they chose. But yes, sir, the whole idea is to get them to a person. If they don't want to wait, they can leave a message, we'll call them back. If they abandon the call, we'll know that as well, and we can call them back. We may not know exactly what they need, but we'll call them back. So the whole idea is to get data on our callers, to service them better, and to get them to the right person, whether they need financial aid admissions, Veterans Affairs, etc. So the only difference between the various call flows on these lists is whether the messaging might vary slightly because financial aid will have a specific message about deadlines and so on and so forth. So what's next? We need to get through management supervisor training on the system itself now that we've configured all the call flows. The agents themselves will get training in the next few weeks. We'll get training on how the reporting system works. We obviously will do user testing to make sure that everything's working the way we believe it should work. And then the plan is to go live by August 1st. So hopefully by the August board meeting, we'll be up and running, and certainly before the students return to campus. The bottom line, we hope we improve customer service. We should have better technology. We've got a documented workflow on how our actual departments work, which this has been an interesting endeavor, just figuring that out for this project. A better behavioral understanding of what our customers need, what they, and we can tweak the system later depending on that. And then reporting, and hopefully we start making decisions on how to support our students and parents using more business intelligence, like what's actually happening, where are we not servicing them? Do we not have enough people answering the phones? And we probably don't, right? We're going to find out, in fact, we're just going to use data now to validate the behavior that's probably been happening all along, but now we can do something about it. And that concludes my report.
So do you collect data on each one of these or most of those categories?
Yeah, we will, yes, there's going to be, basically the data is going to be about the numbers that are coming in, the number of calls, how long it's taking us to answer those calls, how many times those calls get routed to other departments, so the students aren't just sent from department to department.
I think as you go along with the system, you'll discover other categories of data that probably ought to be.
I absolutely believe that is absolutely the case, yes,
Ms.
sir.
Aldrete, did you have any questions or comments?
No question.
Mr. Villarreal, I have a
JJ?
comment.
Yes.
So is it possible, because I've been on hold, I don't leave voice messages, but they give you the option where you can leave your number and they can just call you back?
That's the option, that's the voice.
Yes, you'll be able to leave your number and we will call you back.
That's the voice. You don't have to leave a voicemail.
No, you just click your phone number.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my same question.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, I think we're going to learn a lot. This is the first time we've ever had a contact center like this on campus, so it's going to be a learning experience for the staff and management. But again, we'll report back after a few months of the rollout to see what's working, what's not.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions? This is not an action item, and that concludes our report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Zavaleta. Next item is item number 8, Academic Committee. Mr. De Leon?
That's mine. The Academic Committee met on Tuesday, June 15, 2021. Present was Ms. Adela Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and Board Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. Item 8A, consideration and possible action on approval of digital classroom software and simulation table purchase for Body Interact, Inc. I will call on Dr. Angelica Fuente Associate Vice President of Instructions Academy, Success, and Dr. David Pierce, Dean of Health Professions, to present the item.
Good evening, TSC Board, TSC Board Chair, and Dr. Rodriguez. I am here today, as Mr. De Leon mentioned, to purchase a digital classroom software and simulation table from Body Interact. This was done through Sole Source, and it is a CARES budget request. The table will be used we are purchasing 2 tables. They will be used by the simulation lab. One will be in the simulation lab for health professions, and the other one will be in the nursing lab for our ADN program. And if you have any questions.
Any questions?
No.
Is there a motion?
Motion is to approve purchase of digital classroom software and simulation table in the amount of $49,350 from Body Interact, Inc. through sole source purchasing methods, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a
Second.
second? There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8B, consideration and possible action on approval of furniture purchase from Kroger International. I will call Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Associate Vice President from Instruction Academy Success, and Dr. David Pierce, Dean of Health Professionals, to present the item.
Hello again. We will purchase furniture to fill in the simulation lab, and the furniture would be so we can move it interactive, the students can engage with each other and so forth. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Is there a motion on the table?
Motion is to approve purchase of furniture in the amount of $25,012 from Kirk International, Inc. through Omnia Partners Contract R180402, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8C, consideration and possible action on approval of diagnostic ultrasound training system purchased from Sonosource, Inc. I will call again on Dr. Fuentes and David Pierce to present this item.
Thank you. This is to upgrade their equipment for the diagnostic medical sonography program.
Any questions? Is there a proposed motion?
Motion to approve additional purchase of one diagnostic ultrasound system in the amount of $38,215 from Sonosource, Inc. through RFP 21-14, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
Second.
There any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8D, consideration and possible action on approval of ambulance, power stretcher, and load fastener purchase from Skyper Medical. I will call again on Dr. Fuentes and Dr. Pierce to present this item.
To purchase a very cool stretcher with hydraulics for the EMS program.
We need to have it
Have
here.
any questions?
Mr.
And would
Chairman,
like to
that's not what
emphasize
D
the very cool
says
and
here.
supported by CARES Act.
Hold on. Let's go back.
Yes.
Consider ambulance power stretcher. That's D.
I don't have
8D.
that on mine.
Item 8D.
Next page.
Doesn't say anything about an ambulance.
A stretcher. Approval of
Are you
ambulance
on
power
item
stretcher.
8D.
8D? as in
D.
David.
Okay, D.
It's the stretcher that would
Thank
go
you.
in the ambulance.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there a motion?
The motion to approve purchase of ambulance-powered stretcher and load fastener in the amount of $56,825 from Sky Medical through sole source purchasing method, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion
Second.
on the floor, and there's a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, why are we not seeing bids for these items? Why is it just a single bid? Or a single?
Dr.
Sole
Fuentes?
source.
Excuse me?
It's a sole source.
It's a sole source.
Sole source, only,
It's the only ambulance made.
Is the ambulance stretcher? It's a stretcher, doctor.
Dr.
This one
Figueroa?
wasn't a-
Good evening, Dr. Zabaleta. It's one of a kind item, the type of technology in this specific stretcher. It's the only, this is the only company that makes this specific one.
All right, if you say so.
The company produced a sole source letter, which is what we require when somebody's telling us they're the only one in the industry that provides that specific item. So we have the documentation
Okay.
from the vendor.
Thank you.
There's a motion on the table, and there's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
item 8, consideration and possible action on approval of advanced manual monitor defibrillator device purchase from Seoul Medical Corporation. I will call on Dr. Fuentes and Dr. Pierce to present this item.
So this too will be supported by the CARES Act and is also a sole source purchase for a fibrillator that would be used in our health professions programs.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve purchase of advanced manual monitor defibrillator device in the amount of $30,339 from Seoul Medical Corporation through the sole source purchase method and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Next item, 8F, consideration and possible action on agreement for federal Adult Education and Family Literacy Act program instructional service between Brownsville Independent School District and Texas Southern College. I will also call on Dr. Fuentes, Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Joseph Flashman, Associate Vice President of Instruction Workforce Training, to present this item.
Thank you. Every year, we have a contract, an agreement with Brownsville Independent School District. We are a subaward of their GED grant. They give us $57,000 in exchange for GED services and our Certified Nursing Assistant program.
Make a motion to approve the agreement of the Federal Adult Education and Family Literacy Act program instructional service between the Brownsville Independent School District and Texas Southern College and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the agreement as presented.
There's a motion on the table. There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Next item, 8G, consideration and possible action to approve the clinical affiliation agreement with South Texas Emergency Care Foundation, Inc. in Harlingen, Texas for the Emergency Medical Service Program. Once again, I call Dr. Fuentes and Dr. David Pierce to present this item.
This is a renewal of a clinical affiliation agreement with South Texas Emergency Care Foundation for emergency medical services.
Motion is to approve the clinical affiliation agreement with South Texas Emergency Care Foundation, Inc. in Harlingen, Texas, and authorize President Rodriguez to sign the agreement.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Next item, 8H, consideration and possible action on memorandum of understanding between Steel Coast Company, LLC, and Texas Southern College. I will call on Dr. Fuentes and Dr. Flashman to present this item.
This is an MOU we'll make with Steel Coast, as Dr. Rodriguez alluded to earlier in his presentation. This is contingent on our grant award, and the MOU just specifically says that we will work together on this grant project to provide customized training for their employees.
Proposed motion is to approve the memorandum of understanding between Steel Coast Company, LLC, and Texas Southmost College, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the agreement as presented.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. Is there any discussion?
Has this been approved by legal?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those opposed? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
And after very lengthy items, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Leon. Next item is item 9, Finance Committee. I'll call on Ms. Garza to present the item.
You didn't have as many as I did last time. The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, June the 15th, 2021. Present was Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, and members of the TSC Administration Board Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 9A, monthly financial statement report for the month ending April 30th, 2021, and I'll call on Dr. Figueroa or Mr. Pecero.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Mr. Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'll have our controller, Mr. Carlos Pecero, do the presentation of the financial report for the month ending April 30th.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, good afternoon. Before you, the monthly budget to actual report for the period April 1 through April 30th of 2021. The report is in a similar format as has been presented before. Again, there are 3 funds that we adopt a budget for, and I'll begin with the first of those 3 funds, the Education and General Fund. And I'll draw your attention to the, if I could get the clicker to work, to the middle of the page. On the April column, we have a subtotal for total revenue, $1,615,577. That is the subtotal for the general fund and concludes the revenue section of this fund. On the next slide is where the expenditure category begins for the general fund, and we have a subtotal for general fund in the middle of the page for salaries and wages, $1,428,131. That is followed by the benefits category, which is the subtotal at the bottom of this slide, $396,113. Moving on to the next slide, we have the category for maintenance and operation. As you can see here, we have each of the object codes detailed by description to provide additional detail. This section concludes, not on the next page, but on the 5th page, and we have a subtotal at the top of the page for the month of April, $559,106. There is no travel expenditures for the month of April. Towards the middle of the slide, we have another subtotal for the general institutional section, $245,235 is the subtotal there. And at the bottom of this slide, I'd like to draw your attention to this subtotal here, $2,670,148, which is the subtotal for all expenditures in the general fund. And that concludes that first of the 3 funds. I'm moving on to the second fund, which is the auxiliary fund. On this slide, we have a subtotal in the middle of the slide, $37,152. That is total revenue for auxiliary fund in April. Next slide, we have our expenditure category for the auxiliary fund. We have 2 subtotals here, one towards the top, which is $60,714, the salaries and wages. And in the middle of the slide, we have our subtotal for benefits, which is $17,361. On the next slide is where the maintenance and operation category subtotals, and that can be seen here, $33,686. If we look at the bottom of this slide right here, $111,761, that is the total expenditures for the auxiliary fund and concludes that second fund out of the 3. And on this slide is where we have the third and final fund. We have a subtotal for revenue that we recorded in this fund, $149,299. And there are no expenditures in the month of April for this fund. So that concludes all 3 funds that we adopt a budget for. The next slide has our fund balance presentation. There is no change to this slide from the last time that we presented this number, $34,086,248. In the next slide, we have a detail for the benefits in the month of April. And there are two subtotals, one for general fund and then one in the bottom for auxiliary fund. Respectively, those are $1.5 million and $93,000. And the last category of this report is the debt service payments. In these last slides, you'll see the detail for each of the payments that are due in the respective years for each of the bond issuances. And just like the fund balance slide, there is no change to this slide since the last time that we presented this item. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. If there are any questions, I'd like the opportunity to try and answer those at this time.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was just an information item. Thank you. Mr. Pesero, I know, and Dr. Figueroa, I know that it takes a lot of work to put this together, but you guys make it so simple for us to understand it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It is a team effort. Everybody in that finance department contributes to that. And with the leadership that we have, we're very happy to bring this information to you.
Thank you, sir. 9B, update on grants awarded to Texas Alamos College for the month of May 2021, and I'm going to call on Dr. Figueroa and Dr. Fuentes to present this item.
Good evening. We're trying to figure out who's going to present it. So I'll have Dr. Fuentes give us a quick report on the grants that were awarded to the college for this month of May.
Thank you.
Thank you. The first one is for $6,038 from our it's a grant emergency education relief. The next two are CARES Act. The third installment of our CARES Act. And the last one is a Skills for Small Business program from the Texas Workforce Commission, where we offer skills training for small businesses. If you have any questions.
Any questions?
$15 million worth of grants in the month of May. Not bad for May.
Mr. President, do we amend our budget to include those amounts? How does that work? Where are you going to put these amounts?
The grant budget, it's increased when the grants are received and accepted by the college.
My question is it going to be reflected in our budget for this year?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to come to us with a budget amendment to include these amounts?
No, once on the grants, once we have the contract signed, that they're giving us those funds, we automatically do that budget. We don't bring it for approval to the board because that's a contract with an agency.
This is the notice.
I don't think that's appropriate.
This is the notice that we get.
I understand.
We don't adopt the budget for grants to change it because at the beginning of the year, we don't know what grants will come in or not to the college. As we receive them, that grant has specific items on how it's going to be spent. So we just adopt that as the budget for that grant when we receive it and according to the specifications of the grantor. But as a college, we don't adopt the budget because we don't have those monies. We cannot project what will be coming during the year.
Yeah. It would be a lot of activity if you put in and out and in and out because of the...
And the grantor is the one that mandates how to spend those monies. We don't have, we do have at a certain point on how do we manage on when we apply for it, but they tell us how to spend it and where to spend it. Whenever there's a purchase on those, we do bring those to the board for approval.
Any more questions? This was an information item only. Thank you, Dr. Fuentes. Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Nine C, consideration and possible action on approval of budget amendment 21-006 to recognize lost revenue. Dr. Figueroa, would you enlighten us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Tonight, we're bringing a budget amendment before the Board of Trustees as a result of the TSC voted care package to award students, as you might remember last summer in the fall, when our communities were hit the hardest by COVID and business were shut down, our economy went down, the Board of Trustees stepped forward and awarded student scholarships to waive through the Take Six on Us or the 20% scholarship tuition discounts last fall and summer. Those actions meant that our students could stay on track towards graduation without having to worry as much on their need and preventing them from having that uncertainty and having to accrue debt. The board chose to invest in our students when they needed it the most. And now we're able to reclaim that some of those lost revenues through the Federal Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, CARES Act, the CARES 2. So some of the allowances on how you can do is to reimburse ourselves for that lost revenue. So it paid off all those efforts of the board to allow our students to have the Take Six on Us and the 20% scholarship. At the same time, as you might remember, when we developed last year the budget, we were very concerned on how our revenue was going to be for this year. So with the conservative projections, we also recognize a low number on our tax collections. Now that we're here towards almost the end of the fiscal year, we have realized that those tax collections were in excess of what we had projected by $750,000. Therefore, the request that we have before you tonight recognizes to increase that general fund revenue in the amount of $3,144,162.99. That represents the lost revenue on those two actions that the board took, plus the $750,000 that we received in tax revenue collections in excess of what we projected. Are there any questions?
Let me rephrase what you said.
Yes, sir.
We spent a lot of money doing the Take Six on Us and the save 20% on classes, not knowing whether we were going to get refunded for that. We took a leap of faith, and the government came back and said, you know what, here's the money that you spent and more. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Thank you so much.
May I make my motion? May I make my motion now?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. My motion is to approve Budget Amendment 21-006 for fiscal year 2021 as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? There's a motion, a second by Mr. De Leon. All those in favor, say any discussion?
Discussion. I want to thank everybody that's involved, because the reason we get to pay ourselves back is because all these people work very hard to get us the money back, and it needs to be acknowledged. Thank you so much to everybody that was involved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next item is item number 10, the Facilities Committee. I will call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Ariel de la Fuente to present the item.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. President Rodriguez will be bringing you a facilities update. This is for information purposes, and it's just an update on the roofing project that we've been discussing this past few months and how it's going. So you've already seen the roof conditions and know the status of that. As an update, we during this past month, we met with the engineer, received the confirmed scope. We have concluded, the architect concluded designs of that roof, generated the scope of work for that project, and we launched that request for proposal to seek that job to be done. This is a little bit of a timeline where we published our RFP at the end of May. We held the pre-proposal conferences. We had 2 walkthroughs with the vendors. The deadline to submit proposals was this past week on June 16th. We received the proposals, and we are currently in the process of evaluating those. There's some challenges with those proposals, if I might expand, and one of them is the construction cost. We did receive the proposals, and the vendors notified them that they will be holding the price that they gave us for 30 days because of the volatility in prices right now in the construction industry. So we're planning to finish that review, wrap it up, and bring it back to you to the board for a possible approval on that RFP. That RFP was launched letting the vendors know that it was contingent on the board approval of the funding. So the next step that is in the process after we finish the review will be to bring the RFP to the board for consideration and funding.
Thank you so much. On the Facilities Committee, Dr. Zavaleta and I have been bouncing how our minds have played tricks on us, and we're stuck with a fiber optics wiring that we have purchased, and we just can't seem to get it right. So I'm going to request that all IT expenditures for the past 2 years, a presentation of these expenditures with a special emphasis on the wiring optic to serve the servers and vendors. And please include an Excel spreadsheet as to all the expenditures, where we spend that money.
Excellent.
I can swear that we spend $400,000 in wiring. And anyway, so next meeting, that concludes the report. Thank you so much. You have a question?
Oh, no. You said next, I mean, like me.
Thank you. That was the Facilities Committee. Next item is 11, the Policy Committee.
The Policy Committee met on Monday, June 14th, 2021. Present were Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and Board Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following item. 11A, consideration and possible action on adoption of local policy DEC. Mr. Ruben Peña, College Legal Counsel, to present the item.
As you have in front of you, members of the board, is a minor changes to DEC local on page 3 of that policy. The change is to the sick leave accumulation. It's going to be changed from the third full month of employment to the first full month of employment is when the employee begins to accrue sick leave. And then on page 5 of DEC, kind of in the middle of the page, both of these are edited. They're in blue. The changes are in blue. And the structures from the first day that they were. And so then an employee must have completed 2 full months of employment with a college prior to use. So those are minor changes. They've been approved by TASB, and we recommend that they be approved by the board.
Proposed motion to adopt local policy DEC as presented.
Is that your motion, not proposed?
Yes. Yes, it's my motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next item.
No, who does that belong to?
Was it?
That concludes my report.
11A. I have a 12.
I have a 12.
Consideration and possible action on Texas Southmost College operations for fall 2021. I'll call on Mr. Peña.
Let me start by the item with with Chair's permission, the trustees. We've been evaluating the different scenarios as we will engage in our next academic year. So we've done some research between our risk management and legal sides to address our next academic year, whether continue with remote operations, online, or come back face-to-face. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Peña to present.
We've already taken steps to return face-to-face. Our contracts with our faculty have gone out. You got it closer, thank you. We've already taken steps to initiate going back face-to-face in the fall. Our contracts with our faculty have already gone out, and in that agreement, there is a requirement that they return to face-to-face teaching come the fall. So that was our initial step. Then the next question that Dr. Rodriguez posed to risk management and to myself was, are we going to be able to move forward? And Mr. Salazar and I undertook several steps to ensure that we were going to be compliant, that we were going to be able to provide the safety protocols that we've been using while students and faculty are back on campus. And some of those are being able to provide the safety devices, the masks. We can offer them. We can't mandate them. We can encourage people to be vaccinated because remember, we're going to have two types of individuals on campus. We're going to have people who've already been vaccinated and those who've not been vaccinated. We cannot ask people if they have or not been. But the idea behind opening and having protective equipment available, both to students, faculty, and staff, to encourage social distancing. And again, this goes back to a lot of common sense that we want to undertake. We've looked at the governor's executive order. We looked at the CDC guidelines. We looked at the Texas Education Agency. All have put out different kinds of opinions or statements. None of them are actually directives. And so they've kind of left it to colleges and universities to make a determination how they want to go forward. One of the things Mr. Salazar did was he did a survey of other colleges and universities, and by far and large, they are all coming back online in person. We will offer, Dr. Rodriguez has also confirmed, that for those students who do not wish to come on campus, we will be able to provide alternative education for them via online. But at this stage, it is both risk management, in my opinion, that we were able to go forward and open fully in the fall and be able to teach our students in classrooms here on campus.
I'd like to make a motion to return back to normal operations starting in fall 2021. I'm happy to do that.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We're back in school.
Yay.
In the fall.
In the fall. Next item is the policy committee meeting.
No, sir. Executive
I
session.
apologize, I'm on the wrong page. Next item is item 14.
No, sir, 13.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So nice to have someone to guide you. Next item is item 13, executive session, being 6:35. We now go to executive session. Back from executive session. Are there any action items from executive session?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move that the board approve the salary schedule as presented in the executive session.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15. In July, should the board need to meet, we will have a special called meeting via Zoom if there is need to have a board meeting. And it would be at the discretion of the president to call that special call board meeting. Next item, the regular board meeting for August would be on August 19th at 5:30. And item number 16 is adjournment. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
A motion on a second. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.